was on mute. It took a while to get in. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Hi.
Aw. Yeah.
Your face is all distorted. You'd hate the way you look. Can you see yourself? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's you.
Yeah.
You're
I'm all tired and my face is red.
No, I mean, you look good now when it's you, but the way you were holding the phone, your face was long, like looked funny. But yeah, it's not your face. It's screen, it's the computer. Wow, I feel like I haven't, I don't know, talked to people. I haven't talked to you. It doesn't feel like long, you know. I think that's, what Facebook does. It's this distorted world.
Yeah.
We're living in.
Tried to have a detox for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, your skin looks really nice.
No, I mean from Facebook.
Oh.
But thank you. It's just because I got out of the bath.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see lines and stuff, and I could probably put all the nice moisturizers. Well, I don't think I have any left, but yeah, I just leave them.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned anymore. I'm just going with it. Yeah, the aging thing. Actually, no, I've been trying really hard.
I don't know. Yeah, just this whole like our interactions. I mean, I think because I know you, and I think you have a better time. Like, I feel like I know everyone, even Mark I've never met, and like Kate is, like I've known her for a couple of years, and we're just on this same, we just want to talk about what's true and not be put down and shit. So I'm never going to change. And even if put down as in that really belittling way, and people will do it through text, but like, my sister, who I love, the really loud one, she'll point her finger at me and like, how dare you? And then I'll be like, oh yeah, the people are just getting caught up in the, I don't get offended by her, and then she can't, I like having a big robust, but then I can't handle it as well. Well, when I fight with Aaron.
Yeah, I'm sorry about my comments the other day.
No, like I think me and you,
and I'm glad that you responded so thoughtfully. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, my head's just here in this world of like conflict and, what's it all about? Like, as soon as I'm on this Zoom and I'm recording this, I just feel like it's like art. It's like when, me and you, or me and, I don't know, Perry, or me and like this whole group, all we want to do is talk openly. So it can be about anything, and even, I don't think you're ever offensive, but you kind of, you seem sweet and quiet like me, but you'll speak your mind as well. And I find it hard, but it's what I want to do, and I do it in, and when, that awkwardness, that aspect.
And I'm open to
awkwardness can be saying the wrong thing too, and it's not wrong. It's just what
I'm open to discussion, but it takes me so long to make up my mind about things that I get really fixated on what I've made up my mind about. But I am open to discussion if someone speaks to me reasonably, about.
I mean, I suppose what we were talking about, and I've had to go through this before, like, you were like, let's do some action instead of talking about it. And I've really thought about that, like, and even protests, I'm very interested in them, but I only go for the conflict. Like, I cannot decide which side to be on, and I'm kind of comfortable not to be on a side. And that's probably what, like, I don't know, I thought that I wanted to study journalism or something, but it's not that either. It's sort of like philosophy, just just having an open philosophy, well, that isn't anything, which is what existentialism is. So I am definitely following a belief system. And as soon as I started studying philosophy, which I'd never done any of before, it just went, wow, this is like a thing where you just
you do.
Everything, but also make decisions. You've got to kind of, have some position.
Yeah, you have to have some set of personal values. Even if those values are like violence or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, I love that it all exists. Like what anyone is following, it exists. So anyone else to belittle us, it's really weird. It's like they're saying you belong to the wrong group and I'm in the right group, but actually like everyone's group kind of fits in some way. And if it was wrong, you can talk to people and they'll see. And if you can't, then there's something wrong in their brain or something. Like if you're so convinced that someone's like insane for what they believe in, then they can't really be belittled either. So that's why this is crazy.
I know, and that's why I keep to myself most of the time, and I don't express my opinions a lot. But like, yeah, because I don't want to have to judge people, and I don't want to have to be wrong, and and too much to consider, and you know what I mean. So yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So when I get a chance to, I really go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I definitely am aware that I have like the first thing I was called was wishy-washy, and that was in a poetry group. And I was just devastated. Like you're putting your poetry on a group in early Facebook world, 10 years ago, whatever, and someone's saying, oh, it's wishy-washy. You don't have you're not anywhere or whatever. I loved that he was like a trained person in poetry, and you could have a group on Facebook and someone would honestly, critique what you were doing. I mean, I still don't understand poetry really. Like how do you, but yeah, I knew what he meant, like you to be passionate about something, and I will be. And I think what I've decided is that I think that it exists, having causes and joining a side. But I don't know, maybe not in these big issues. Like I would be on, like with the abortion one is easier because I loved that experience, having that debate with that American dude, just his personality. And like, I was just like, wow, I just don't even care that if I didn't speak well, or like, because for him it was all about winning the argument, and he's just like, abortion is wrong, that's the end of the story kind of thing. And he had some arguments, and even this issue, it will seem final, and because it'll be like, here's all the statistics, there's less people that die when there's vaccinations, like the hospitals won't be overrun, therefore the decision we have to make is lockdown. They'll have it all worked out, and it really seems to be the right thing. But then when you really think about it, they could have decided to expose us to treatments during COVID, and then you have to have a whole philosophy about death, that maybe the elderly have to be kept really secure somewhere. We could have decided that, and then let everyone else.
Let it happen in waves or something like that.
And it did. I love that we're watching the world. They did do different things. Like America is the most interesting place I'm seeing, all the different states. And we're just this one country where it's just like, shut the fuck up. If you say, oh, maybe I won't get the vaccine. Oh, so you're not going to protect everyone else?
Yeah.
You're going to be.
My argument is it doesn't protect anyone else. I don't understand why that's even an argument, because it doesn't protect you from getting COVID. It doesn't protect you from spreading COVID. The
Yeah.
only thing it might do is help with the symptoms. So I don't understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of their whole argument. And in a few months, the vaccines will be done. So it is just sort of a media show. But people are really like, oh, Dan Andrews, you know, he's saving the whole, and he had to make some decisions. So
it put me in a very fearful headspace today. And yeah. Why?
What do you mean?
Why? Because, well, the reason that I went is because I don't want my kids to get vaccinated, and I don't want to either. But I feel like that's what it's going to come to. Like they're not until everyone is, and then and then as soon as I started thinking about that, I started seeing more and more information about it. And then my mother-in-law called me before and asked me if I was going to get it because all these kids are getting COVID and I need to protect my kids. And it just like, because I've been in such a positive headspace for the past 2 weeks because I've not been looking at social media or anything.
Oh,
I've just been doing my own thing.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And then today I'm just deep in it and really afraid and like, oh fuck, we're all fucked, you know? And I don't know.
You knew about the protest leading up to, like, for the last few weeks? Because I knew there was something happening on September 17th. Well, because I posted someone, it was interesting to see, like, not a boyfriend, but a guy from when I was 14. He was there and he had a video of it. It's just interesting to see. So I posted his video and just wrote about how it's, you know, there's two worlds, like the world of people getting vaccinated. They're not aware of the other world where people are questioning. Yeah, but they have to be. But yeah, I went from definitely not wanting it to sort of where most people are. I'll get it, you know, there'll be, of course there's risk, but it's much, much lower than getting COVID.
I don't mind.
I'll switch back to, if I got COVID, you actually got higher. This is coming out of very mainstream science that's coming out, that you would have very high immunity if you caught it, from mild to medium, and much longer than what a vaccine would give, which was only 6 months.
Exactly. Just like how it's always worked with flus and whatever. If we just have to keep getting more and more vaccines.
Well, those ones we got when we were little, so, I mean, I just got some for going overseas. That was only 3 years ago. And I've forgotten what they were for. Hep C or Hep A, hepatitis A, and I think 2 others in one. And I won't need them for years. Like, this one is different. So it's not strained, like, it's all unfolded over time, and it's very complex how we've come to where we are. So I think that's why I don't get that upset. And also I don't think I'll personally have to get one unless, well, I thought I really want to travel, but then I found out all you have to do is, not all you have to do, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks in the country, or maybe just before you go or something, if you're not vaccinated. I just think once it's at 80%, which is going to happen really quickly, it's weird how all 18 months of bullshit, and then suddenly, oh, here's the vaccines. There's only 20 million of us. They could have had 10 million vaccines here and just have all the old people done, all the health workers, everyone in that middle older range, and leave the kids alone, except they say kids are catching it, but they're not dying, and they're, you know, people worry that, oh, they're going to catch it and have to deal with. But, you know, because that's an unknown as well, the symptoms of the disease. So they're talking about, you know, heart damage and lung damage. Of that. And I'll go and listen to many different doctors, all very, they're not all declared quacks getting kicked off like the old school natural health people.
Yeah.
That I've always seen as well. I trusted I trusted too much because I was really hopeful that I'd have my daughter's diabetes cured, which is an autoimmune disease. And I've seen other autoimmune diseases cured or arrested, and it's a very rare thing. You have to be on just, the strictest of raw, diet, vegan, and do a lot of treatments and whatnot.
And and the vaccine, like my kinesiologist lady told me that it's going to not be good with people with autoimmune.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that pricks up my ears. I have heard things like that. Like, first I'm told my daughter will be susceptible, so she should get the vaccine, but there would be more evidence that she shouldn't have the vaccine. It's not going to do anything to Winter because she's a child, and people with diabetes is long term. They have kidney damage after 20 years of badly managed diabetes, type 1, because type 2 is basically you're sick anyway if you got type 2 diabetes, and you just have to adjust your health and it'll actually stop having it altogether. So yeah, I was driving home from your house, probably the last time I saw you, I don't think we've seen each other face to face, maybe or less than a year. And I started the keto diet. The next day I listened to a 2-hour interview with Michaela Peterson about insulin resistance diet. It's something that people just hate you for, that keto diets, but they're very scientifically, not very scientifically, but many people have lost lots of weight, gotten over lots of disease, but it's mainly protein and fat. So that sort of involves meat eating. But the woman whose health retreat we went to, she did it in a vegetarian way, like when Winter first caught diabetes, which they have no known cause for, and could be possible that it kicked off by a vaccine when she was a baby, but I think they'll ridicule you if you talk about vaccines, because they always just automatically go, oh, do you think it causes autism?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Vaccines could be linked to many things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I lost a lot of weight and felt really well because it's diet. I mean, I think people their argument for vaccines is we can't teach people to be healthy because it's not how our society is. And I'll kind of agree with that. Like, yeah, that's why we have to have medicalized health. But we should be allowed to promote it if we want. And it's probably always been a problem, like, which is just so bizarre. That
I don't know. I just find it's bizarre that the drugs that were, supposedly helped cure COVID were so suppressed and not encouraged, and any other health was not really encouraged or even talked about by the government or medical people, and or any of it, and we can't go outside, and vitamin D helps. And it just doesn't all add up.
Yeah, well, Michaela Peterson, who's Jordan Peterson's daughter, she has this great podcast where she calls it Opposing Sides, but she'll interview one expert from one end of the cause. Like, she had a pro-vaccine person, and then she had a guy, he's from the health industry, but they're always a doctor and then they get into health, and they've written books and things like that.
Mm.
And you know, they're never liked because the mainstream. And he's talking about vitamin D, and the other guy was ridiculing, saying, you know, oh, you're just going to get sunburn. So I mean, that idea of like, you know, sunlight, drinking lots of water, which some people, that's all they'll do, you know. And there's all natural health around water, like hot and cold. That was this doctor I'm following. He's an Adventist, and the Adventist health message was all about having hot and cold baths. And
I've been having cold baths.
Yeah.
And I've felt like you said, the past few weeks, I've felt better than I've felt in a really long time from having the cold bath. Yeah.
Okay. So you've done.
I didn't do it today, this morning, because I didn't sleep last night. So I was so excited. And now I feel like, yeah, like my headspace has been so much more positive. Like, it's like no one could bring me down for the past 2 or 3 weeks. And now, yeah, today it's just, yeah.
What, it changed?
Yeah, because I didn't do the whole morning routine with the cold and the breathing and the exercise, and I didn't get enough sleep and everything. And then I went to there, and it just all, yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like this sounds like why I have kept away from doing this, because I've noticed that I would just have this real excitement, and but then I would crash, but that would be after a string of things like lack of sleep, just that big shift, but you know,
Get fixated on.
well, it's like unregulation of emotional, and I mean, they're the last person I said this to, she was so offended, but I said, I hang around people that are like me, you know, we're kind of, there's nothing wrong with us, but we're a bit damaged, is what I said. I was so upset. I was like, what? Don't you think you're damaged? Like, you're fucked up, really, but you're fun and like open and.
Yeah, she was offended.
Yeah, I was really like, God, she doesn't think she's damaged.
Is that your one friend?
Well, she was really overweight, and that's really hard because it's something that you can see, and she knows this, that people can see it, but she's really trying to be just herself. Yes, it'd be really hard to have that going. And she really tried to be to have a healthy lifestyle. But her mother was a fanatic, and just fucks you up, like just all this complex shit, just messes with us. And then, because we know we're kind of simple creatures as well, but we're these highly complex thinkers, and we're all thinking about different things. It just, like this philosophy I'm reading, it's simple, but it's also really messing with my head. And it's kind of like a spirituality, like this massive book, sorry, being a nothingness, thick as fuck. And all it's about is that our consciousness is two parts that can never get together. The in itself is just part of us that's just looking at the world passively. And then the for itself is the one going forward and being the transcendent. That's what being human is. We're always trying to go beyond ourselves. When you look at animals, they're just living in this circular, biological life. And humans are this special thing where we always want to go beyond ourselves, but there's always this tension. So like, existentialism is just realizing that you're free and your mind is your whole reality, even though there's this whole world out there. Everything we think is just coming from a place that's nothing. We are actually nothing in our brain, and as soon as you realize it, then you become something. So it's, this whole book is kind of explaining over and over all these different kind of aspects of our reality, but it's free, realizing your freedom. I mean, you are free and you're not free. Like, it's this whole, I don't know, idea of ambiguity. So the other half of this guy is the woman, Simone de Beauvoir, who wrote a skinnier book called The Ambiguity of Ethics. It's not this one. She wrote this. That's sort of just saying how humans are ambiguous. We're kind of stuck in life, but we're also free. I don't know. I forget a lot of it, but it's a simple idea that I'm getting, inspired by, and it intersects with what everyone's doing that makes them better. Like whatever you're doing that's inspiring you, it'd be similar. Just discovering who you are, what your truth is, your cause. Because like a lot of existentialists are like, oh, so existence is meaningless. It's like, no, you discover your own unique purpose, which is a bunch of what did you say before, values, and they're actually, they're not just all random things, but they're real things.
Yeah, that were kind of born
collectively.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's great. No one's waiting. So yeah. No, it's good, because it's great that Mark was like, he really wants to host it, and Troy's the one that's always every week saying, are we going to do it?
Yeah.
And then you just have a conversation, and you can't get to, this is why I think this philosophy is so real, is you can never get to we have a discussion and we can't solve it, but we seem to put in our input, and then we move on to the next thing. Like, you can never get there, but you're always pursuing, always trying to go beyond what you see. What's real, what people are making real. So it's so interesting that people are making it real, that lockdown is the only choice. That's reality. And if you don't choose that, then you're a bad person. These simple things.
Yeah.
But, when you think about it, you don't even need to, I needed to study philosophy to get it, but others get it without that. They're like, I don't have to do anything, someone tells me. No, social rules don't exist. We made them up. But
I know there's people that can really stand by that as well. I can't. I'm pretty that, like the natural law people and stuff. Have you heard of it? Yeah.
Oh, you've
and
say it again.
They're like, I don't know. There's people in that they've gotten into this whole natural law and they like completely opt out of society, and they write letters to the government and say, I refuse to be a part of this. And then, and then they're like, when they get pulled over or whatever, they're like, you don't really have a life and all that kind of stuff. And
Is that the Unabomber? Because there was a Joe Rogan or something about the Unabomber and
no, it's called
freedom or something.
I don't know. He might be a natural law person, but no, it's just called natural. And didn't I send that to you once?
It sounds familiar. Sounds like you. Told me about it. I think, is that what libertarians are? I think that's what Troy says he is.
No.
Libertarian.
Closer to it than any other. I don't even think it's anarchist. I think it's just completely no government belief system at all. It's just like, no, I'm just a law unto myself or something. I don't know. Or maybe there are supposedly, I don't know. I'm going to look into it now. The guy's name that talks about it the most is Mark Passio.
Yeah, I think you sent me a video.
Yeah, anyway, I still don't get it. But yeah, supposedly there's natural laws that the world is run by that, yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
That the government has to subscribe to if we bring them up. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so a bit conspiratorial. I don't even know what that word means. I said it and someone said, do you know what conspiracy means? And I was thinking, no, I don't. And because what was he saying? You know, just there's so many issues you're not meant to talk about. This one was about Aboriginal people, and that they weren't hunter-gatherers. They had farms and, you know, very complex, ritualized living, which they, you know, we all know they did. They had a spirituality that wasn't just, you know, savages at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, they said the farmers out in the country would find all these sculptures and stuff and just break it up and bury it so that they could have the farmland, you know, that Aborigines had.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I said, well, that's just a conspiracy that you believe that. Like, you know, there's no evidence.
Well, yeah.
Even though, you know, farmers were saying that their family, the kids would say they were told not to tell anyone that they found all this ancient kind of stone stuff in their backyard, because it'd be. But yeah, what were we saying? That so you said the government has to. Yeah. Anyway, we'll look into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people have always been against natural health people, so that's coming to a head. It's just so weird because it's so obvious what people hate in context of this disease, but countries are doing it. And we can just look at a country like even England, the way they've got high vaccines, and they just opened up the country. Because the way I see it is that they didn't offer the vaccines, and now that they're just blaming regular people instead of the world leaders who should have had the vaccine here. And to have it all, even just now, like this lockdown where, I don't know, a few days ago, they said, oh, you know, the regional Victoria doesn't have to be in lockdown. And now today.
Created like that purposely?
Well, yeah, because you really have to think back in the past. And I think that people are brainwashed, in a brainwashed state or something, because I have to really remember how happy I was when lockdown ended here in the country. Less than a week, I think, or maybe it's been a week. I don't know. Like it was, the days have still just, you know, streamed by, just waiting, you know, for everything to start again, and just feeling that kind of not panic, but kind of madness of people out here. Like, I don't know. It's, yeah, like the shopkeepers. I don't really talk to anyone. I don't have.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
But yeah, one.
There's not that many people that would freak out. There's only like 3 shops.
Oh, it's really busy out here compared to the. I mean, like, I think you were offended because I was saying that, you know, suburbia is a shithole. But I love, like, Dandenong and Frankston are probably really vibrant places compared to where I lived, especially. It was dead. And out here, you've got Foster, which is not a small town. There's a few thousand there. And then there's all the little towns like mine. Mine only has 300 people. And then I've got the port town, which has another 300. And the shops are just kind of buzzing with people.
Yeah.
Foster has, you know, one whole street of, like, you know, maybe 40 shops altogether. And we just saw Winter's production of a play because and they'd been doing it for months and months, and they had 3 performances, so it was a proper kind of for the town, even though the high schoolers were doing it. There's quite a lot of performers out here, music types, and it's great, yeah. But and then it nearly didn't go ahead, but the lockdown. Well, I know when the lockdown was on, it was
Where's Kate? Where's she's not joining?
Is someone in the waiting room? I'm not very good at hosting Zoom. Oh, what does it say? To Facebook.
Posted a video.
Oh. Chaos in Melbourne. Wow. So today it was quite surprising but it wasn't surprising. Like you just forget so quickly, like from the last protest to this one, and just like so much happens in between that kind of nothing happens. I don't know.
I can't believe there was supposedly only about 4,000 people.
4,000. That's a lot. That's a huge amount.
I thought it was going to be more.
Oh yeah, but there was a lot at the last ones, so there was either going to be more or
it was about 10 at the last one, apparently.
Oh, okay. A lot of people are. I mean, what it seems like is that we're in more and more dire times, when actually it's nothing of the like. It's the way you look at it. Like, yeah, you know, if we just opened up, the hospitals would be overrun. That's what people are seeing. But right now, the numbers are going to go up. You know, there's huge amounts getting vaccinated, and they boast about the numbers. Like sometimes they'll talk about the statistics, and they'll be like 50% of Sydney have had all their vaccinations, and something like 60 or 70% have had their first jab. It's like, well, that's nearly everyone that they want. Yeah. And they're crapping on like, 800 cases, which is bad for them. We've got 50 here, 50 or 60 or whatnot. Yeah, you know, it's like he's right, but it's not that Dan Andrews is lying. It's that, you know, it's sort of one aspect of facts. And
I honestly don't know why they care so much. They've never cared about anything before. Like, why would they care so much?
Well, I guess because it's pandemic, you know, it's potentially, it's that 1 in 100 year thing. Oh, your audio's cut out.
I just feel, like people make the point of, you know, there's people getting cancer from this and that, and, you know, and, you know, all the food and all the Monsanto, all that kind of stuff, and blah, 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 and the government doesn't do anything about it. But this is like, why do they care so much? It doesn't.
Yeah, and that's, totally true. Totally. Like, but then if I can hear the other side saying, you know, oh, but this is a pandemic. But the media, I mean, no, I mean, it's true. It is worldwide. But yeah, so is pest, you know, so is what you just mentioned. It's
and
worldwide.
Kids have been dying of AIDS in Africa for years. And like,
well, it didn't reach the whole world. So yeah, it's like kind of like them. Like I'm watching Afghanistan today, kind of really upset and going, but this shit has been happening in the world forever. Why am I so upset? Because it's fucking horrible watching what's happening there. It's like, why do I care now? Because, you know, you kind of like, it is a sort of brainwashing about the pandemic. We're pretending that we care, and then, you know, you're an utter fuck ass, you know, piece of shit if you go against this.
Yeah.
It's only a couple of people that I see, but yeah, that are really like that on Facebook. I don't know. And then it's the subtle stuff like, I got my first jab today, and
I have a healthy respect for authority.
Like, oh, you're a guru because you've had your jab. Oh, so proud of you.
Yeah. I know.
I'm doing my bit. Yeah.
The ones that say I have a healthy respect, I have a healthy distrust in authority, but I got my jab.
Oh yeah, fuck yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
How do you know what's healthy? How do you know yours is healthy?
Yeah.
So you're saying that if you don't have, you can, it's the manipulate, you can't pinpoint it, but now it's obvious. If you haven't had the jab, you obviously don't have a healthy, I don't know, they're kind of saying that and not. Because, you distrust the government. Well, I distrust the government and I've had my fucking jab.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you can't pinpoint what these stupid fucking conformity. I mean, we're all conformists, but it just, it's that manufactured kind of one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I hate it. The people that just like, repeat stuff. My friend and like her and her boyfriend are hippies and they're getting the bloody vaccine. And I was like sending her all this stuff about kids getting vaccinated. And she's like, well, Heath has done the research and I trust his research. And I'm like, well, can you not research it yourself? She goes, I can't be bothered. And I'm like, so you're going to put this in your body and you can't be bothered looking up a few articles yourself,
Yeah.
But because I have a boyfriend and he's so cool and he's a hippie, I'll just trust his
They're usually untrustworthy.
Yeah.
Those kind of men.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that is what they're angry about, but they're not really doing the research. I remember when I hadn't done research, it feels like it was years ago, but I've only really been that interested for months. But I've just been like, instead of watching another Netflix series, I'll just put on something. And YouTube, I don't know, I think this is sort of existentialism, and it's mindfulness. It's any of those Eastern, it's sort of all we own is the moment. So like, instead of going, I have to disappear from this, anxiety in life, and I have to, watch a show or something. I'll just put on anything that looks even slightly interesting, that might teach me something. And especially if I'm repelled by it, I'll sort of go, well, I should watch this. Because I've made up my mind,
Yeah. I'm going to watch the flat earthing videos too.
I'm interested by the people that are flat earthers. The only couple I know, they're just really antagonistic in other ways. So yeah, it puts you off. They're like, you're an idiot if you believe that the world's a globe, because wake up. Or wake up.
I never considered it, and someone was talking about it the other day, and then I was like, yeah, there's a lot of movies, like apparently, but then a lot of flat earthers think that Australia is not real.
Yeah.
But that the earth is flat and it's a dome, and the Antarctica and the other place, the poles, are where the I guess the edge of the earth is, and that we're like in a Truman Show situation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Aaron was more interested in them, and he would say why, because you would try and you go like, well, surely there's evidence of scientific rationalism or whatever, determine it. So if you took them there, there's even people that have videos of the experiments they do, and they even prove the experiment is that the world's a globe, but they will change it in their own mind, and you see it on the video that they've done that.
Okay.
You can see the experiment, it proves that it's curved, and they have gone, oh no, that's because of the light bending, it'll be some, what is it, physics, because you can't sound scientific. and there's a lot of big words that we're hearing on all the stuff that we're watching. But
I
yeah,
don't want the world to be ending. It sucks. I don't want to have to
I
get.
don't think it's ending. This is the knowledge I have coming from the Adventists. You know, they're really nice people and they live such a healthy life, but they believe the world's ending and that Jesus is going to ride a cloud. Like I love them so much that I want to hang out with them. So I put on a sermon for 1.5 minutes and just went, no, sorry. Like every second word's Jesus, you know, prophecy.
Yeah.
Not
I
prophecy,
reckon Jesus, this is my recent take on it, is that Jesus was like a metaphor of what we have to be standing up to Satan, which is like we see in the tyranny in the world right now. And we have to like be kind to people and we have to stand up and everything like that and become human again, because we've all lost like so much with all the technology. We've like, I feel it, you know what I mean? Like lost our kind of souls or whatever, you know? And like, yeah, and we have to like remind each other and all that. And that's what I reckon it is. And the revelation is like, we might be in revelation. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, except when I argue with my partner, who's an Adventist, and they'll say, oh, you know, the end times is now, which is what they've been saying for decades, and it feels like it's now. But I don't know. I just sort of like, you know, if I'm watching the kind of fallout of losing our identities, we're kind of breaking apart in our identities, which is to me is a good thing. We're losing our grip on.
Well, and also coming together more, like evolution is going to be as a group, not as an individual.
Yeah, so we have to fight, and we're fighting more because we're engaging more, maybe. Like when people are really kind of negative or like everything's falling apart, and it's not. I kind of make up my mind because I've been hearing it that we have less. Well, I think that they're talking about the West. There's less crime and what do they say? You know, less poverty, but you know they're looking at it in ways like people are across the board. There's less people dying of hunger, but then there's probably more people that are more miserable. They're talking about women are more miserable. I don't think we're more miserable. We're discovering how to be free, and we are a bit miserable because we're following the men. Like I've been following that issue, like the conflict between men and women, and it feels like women are doing so much better, even though young girls are more sexualized and they're I mean, I crapped on a lot about that 99 Woodstock video, but the documentary, but it was because you know we were young in the early 90s where there was an explosion of creative openness, and girls were dressing in jeans and not being sexualized, and then all that ended, and by the mid 90s you had back to the music and sexualized music, and you're just watching this, and then they had the porn returning, and this huge thing in America called Girls Gone Wild, where girls are just flashing their tits constantly, look at my tits. And that was happening at this grunge festival. Well, not grunge was dead, I suppose, but they had Red Hot Chili Peppers, and like they were just burning everything. The crowd had just lost their shit. This was our idea of Woodstock, because they were people our age, mid-20s, that could afford a $200 ticket. And you look at boys our age, they're kind of angry, and they want their power back, and they're kind of not going to get it, but they're kind of, the girls want to be sexualized again because that's our only identity. That's what guys give us, attention for being sexy to them. So that was happening at this festival, just topless girls, and girls showing their tits, and men yelling in crowds, "Show us your tits." Bizarre.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen now, would it?
Yeah, and now another 20 years later, girls not going to have that shit. Like there's all the men getting cancelled and probably getting worse treatment.
The girl wanted to show the tits. They get cancelled. Yeah.
Well, it was very naive watching these girls flashing their tits and not thinking that these boys are going to do something to them, which did happen. There were hundreds of there weren't that many. It was coming out later, the reports of rape and stuff.
I bet in
the
Woodstock times, girls wouldn't have spoken up at all if they got raped or if they involved in anything like that.
Well, I think the boys were more restrained and naive. You know, they weren't even thinking of there was. I think it had happened, but probably people that were unstable and because there were drugs, a lot of drugs involved at both of them. But yeah, the naivety of the girls at something like the late 90s, not to know that you've got to protect yourself. You're at this massive, it was just frightening. Imagine just being in those crowds where the mosh pits, they're not even pits, it's just this whole crowd of hundreds of thousands of kids moving as one, jumping up and down, just that.
Or smashed together.
Crushed.
Yeah.
No. And just
it was kind of getting like that today at point. Like when we first got there was drunk guys, all tatted up guys with their shirts off, all sweaty, just looking like they wanted to fight and
okay. Yeah, interesting footage of that because that's who's really out there. They're just people, and the men are even more lost in their purpose, and now they're just being completely ridiculed. You not dare question whether you should have a vaccination. And it's a legitimate concern. Like everyone knows it's a legitimate question to ask about new some people have said, they've been tested for 10 years. What are you talking about? They're perfectly safe.
How is it not a legitimate question anymore?
It started off, it seemed to be
like gotten so fucking dumb. You know what I mean? Like 10 years ago, it would have been absolutely, or 5 or whatever. It's just getting weirder and weirder that people that are intelligent people, like, I always considered myself like not the smartest tool in the shed. And like,
I think it's just having an not open mind, a free thinking mind. They mustn't have it because I
think it's the mistrust. I think I don't have trust.
Oh yeah.
And so I just question immediately.
Because what you said about the couple or whatever, where the girl trusts the boy, I've heard many people say they don't have to watch something for themselves to get an idea. Like I heard that about years ago. This group of women were fighting against 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
50 Shades.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen the movie. Like I was just like, you haven't watched the movie or read the book, but you're going to protest that it's violence against women. I was repeating it. Like it was sort of the first time where I just thought
they just like
that. And you can argue. Like I thought I can't argue because they're smart. But like they're educated. And they're like, I just read this review. I read the article by the organisers of this protest against this movie and book, that old people, my mum loved it. It was just the fantasy of whatever the story was about, a rich guy into bondage. Yeah, she loved them. And the book was about him being damaged and that she saved him. And then they got to have their, vanilla sex love story at the end. He didn't need the bondage anymore. When, people that are really into bondage, it's meant to be good for you, if it's consenting or whatever. I don't get it well, but yeah. But yeah, not they trust like Dan Andrews.
It was apparently not good for the S&M community either. Apparently it was like, you know,
S&M.
distorted.
Oh yeah, they didn't like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like trusting Daniel Andrews, and then that ridiculing, like, oh, I'll just trust, you know, the fucking chief health medical officer or whatever. He's obviously the only expert that you need to worry about. So yeah, like going up in stages, like you can do research on YouTube. Like there's real doctors, you can check their credentials, and then you can watch their channel, because there's lots of smart people that are giving their free time to teach the world real things. It's, you know, some people, I mean, I kind of like put down my mother-in-law. She seems to find just the real alarmist, like one doctor was saying, oh, I heard from blah, blah. I didn't even know what he was going on about, because he said 70% of everyone that gets the vaccine is going to be dead in 3 years. So I instantly just went, like, I can't listen to this guy anymore. Like then he'll just say a Bible quote, and then that's, you know, that seals the deal for me, because not everyone believes in the Bible, even if, you know, even that, like, if you're a real scientist and doctor, you're not just going to be Bible quoting.
No.
He was
Absolutely.
like a Jew, and the Adventists seem to, I don't know, respect the Jews.
I feel like I have to really get some kind of a faith and positive thinking in
Oh yeah,
humanity. Yeah.
faith.
So that a bit more and everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the one I found is I feel like it's telling me you don't have to have an identity, because you don't, no one does. And so because I thought I really don't have one, or my identity is all these things that, like, it actually says anything but you are a certain thing, you're a person. I just haven't pursued myself in an honest way. So I think you probably do end up finding a more sustainable faith if you stay on.
I don't mean like
It's not an end point, whatever I'm reading about. So yeah,
I got my food.
I like Buddhism, I think. Oh,
Yeah.
Tina Turner, I just saw a documentary about her, and what saved her was Buddhism. I just was like, wow, she was getting beaten by Ike. And as soon as she found Buddhism and was chanting, and it took her out of herself, and she got to see herself as just a real being, instead of, you know, a slave that belonged to a man that was beating her, and that she had real talent. And
yeah, good. She really. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm going to end the recording.